that you have to laugh. You're like, oh, geez, these poor guys, man, they made it to a recording studio somehow, but the tuner must have got drunk because he didn't make it that day. And this thing is whacked out, and it is absolutely classic. And way back 40 years ago, listening to this, I remember, like, you know, thinking, well, how could they have possibly done such a thing, you know? But now it's delightful for me to hear that, you know. I love that. And well, the only thing I could say about something being slightly out of tune and or out of phase is that we don't hear with perfection. We have you know, our hearing is like a tree. The tree isn't a perfect straight line. It sort of follows the terrain, and it might lean a little bit and blow in the wind and stuff like that. So I kind of see hearing that way, that you don't require perfection. And when you go to Lincoln Center, you know, and you hear this magnificent, you know, concert grand tuned to perfection, you know, that's one thing. That's the high art, you know, of, you know, correct sound, you know, by way of a soundboard and a bunch of strings under tension. Very sort of uncommon. And now with electronics, you know, everything is beautifully tunable, and I'm absolutely astonished at how they can sample an instrument in the studio and reproduce it in, let's say, a keyboard like yours, Paul, right? That I think you said you had a chord, a weighted key, that with the sampling technology out there, that they can actually capture the raw sound, you know, that is imperfect. And now in a pair of headphones with my eyes closed, in an A/B test, you know, after almost 50 years of doing this professionally and getting paid for it, I'll have trouble telling you which is which. I really will, because, you know, it's just all that good, you know. And yeah, there's something about being in the room with the instrument driving the floor and feeling that come up through your bones and everything and through your hands. And Yamaha somehow has managed to they have a trick that puts vibrations into the keys. They've got this series of grands that employ an actual, it's a digital piano, but it has an actual grand piano action inside. And when you sit down and close your eyes and play these things, like if you go to a showroom and try one out, it is absolutely remarkable, you know, that they've married these two technologies together. Is it like that 77-year-old piano sitting in that gospel church in Harlem that my student was going crazy trying to get right? No. That's, you know, that's like real world sort of a visceral reality. You know, at the same time, you know, trying to maintain that in a musical sense is becoming almost impossible. They really need a new instrument, or that old one needs to be torn apart and refurbished. And yeah, think about this. They had their own, you know, little forest in the Adirondacks. They took Adirondack wood, they floated it down the river in the water, the logs. They milled it, and the milled material sat in a pile, stacked up neatly. I shouldn't just say it wasn't thrown in a pile. For 5 years, out there in the snow, wind, and rain. And then after that 5 years, they came and milled it again, and then they put it into service. You know, they put it into these instruments. And when you think of that process, you know, and it's almost like investment casting. I'm sure you're familiar with these very high-end machine tools, like when they cast, like a casting for a lathe, you know, that's used in extremely high demand accuracy, you know. They dropped it into the earth, you know, and they sat it in there. They sat the ingot in there for many years, and it was from what not investment casting. It was called earth tempering. I mixed up my terms, not investment casting. I got that mixed up. It was earth tempered castings, you know. So Steinway, in a way, they were earth tempering their wood, and that's pretty, you know, when you think of having that ability. I don't think they can do that anymore. The markets just don't sustain it, and a lot has changed, you know. They're still doing it somewhat in Europe, but here things have changed tremendously. But I can go, man. I can keep this pedal down for months on this business. So for health reasons, for you guys, I'm going to let it go. And if I would like very much to hear more about, yeah, I was going to say the TV antennas. That to me is fascinating. Remember, what the king installs never falls. And poor Wayne, it really was going to you, Wayne. I'll send it to you, and maybe you can find out about N2FRY, who threw a call in there. But that's another station came up with a mellifluous AM tone. So WB2LYL and the group, and N2FRY over there, and WA3VJB. This is W1ZOA.
W1ZOA, WB2LYL. Excuse me, a little froggy here. I'm sorry about that. I've been trying to get the golden tones that Paul has there in Maryland. Good to hear your voice again, Paul. And Jerry, that's very interesting. Very interesting. We could talk about that for days. The only comment I'll make on that, not to drag this out, is that that was probably old wood from old growth forest, if you know what that means. It was probably really an old tree, as well as being cured for an interesting length of time. I'm going to hand it over to Ed. Ed is located in Cicero, New York, and we talked a while back. And good to hear you on the air, Ed. So I'll pass it over to you. N2FRY and the group. This is WB2LYL. And I think Paul will get it next, Ed. So N2FRY, WB2LYL.
Yeah, N2FRY. Been listening to you guys for about an hour, so you got at least one audience. Or audience. I was listening to you guys on the SDR up there in New Hampshire. Yeah, very good. Rig here is a 950 SDX, and the microphone's just a Barefoot MC60. So yeah, very good on the piano tuning and all that. I have a very close friend. His name is Jim Hearn. And he tunes pianos. He does it for a living as well. And he has to be careful on what he does to his hearing so he doesn't screw up his hearing. Well, anyway, don't want to take up too much of the time. It's a pretty good sized group of guys. And glad that the transmitter's up and functioning this morning into the dipole, which is a trap dipole. Alrighty, well, we'll pass it over to Paul and just make it a quick transmission here so that everybody gets a turn. And got to get out and work on the wife's car and put a set of brakes on the front so that it passes inspection correctly. Pass it over to Paul. Thanks for the airtime, and give me a signal report if you could on the audio and the signal, and I'll stop in from time to time. But I'm listening to you guys quite a bit here on the cell phone. 73 N2FRY. Go ahead, Paul.
Thanks, Ed. Before you get too far away from the push-to-talk there, did you take delivery on the Super Senior yet, and what's its prospects of being on the air?
I am sitting here looking at it. It is rack-mounted. And got all the equipment ready to go in it, but I have been spending so much time working outside getting things done for fall. Somebody mentioned about motorcycles. I've got 3 of them. I had to get them all waxed up, cleaned up, you know, put the battery minders on them and all that, and get all that stuff. So yeah, I haven't had time with that, but sometime in the next week or two I should have that up on the air there. Go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, looking forward to that.
Well, we're going to hear about that. And Ed, it's a pleasure to hear you there, and very interesting. And that you're doing a brake job is great. I love doing my own brakes. Unfortunately, I don't at this point. The way this place is configured, my car sits right next to a very active interstate road. It's a two-laner, and there's a 35-mile-an-hour limit, but don't make me laugh, you know. I saw a car go by last night. That guy must have been doing 100. It was like whoosh. So I don't want to go down there and lay on the ground. Let's put it that way. But kudos, man, that you're able to do that. And your signal is excellent here, Ed. You sound good. The radios, everybody's coming in here perfectly. The band is in beautiful condition. Really nice. And funny, electric Mustang. I heard about that they're piping these sounds in, and my first reaction was, well, come on, you know, are you really going to fool me that badly? If, you know, I'm sitting in here in an electric car, I'm going to step on the gas and hear a V8 or something. But yeah, the answer is yes. It has a lot to do with, you know, how you experience things. And an example is for I don't know, about 6 years, I had an old beat-up Porsche 911, right? And man, I love that car, but it's really a rich man's game, so I had to let it go because I didn't have a real good place to. You really need a lift and the proper tool set to keep those going. You know, there's just a whole labor of love, and I didn't buy it for that. I bought it to save myself from the commute. I was doing 80 miles a day, and you know, I was doing it in a Volvo 240. Okay, so if you can imagine the contrast. Early on in life, I had motorcycles. My first bike was a A65. It was a twin carb. They called it a Lightning. And then I had a Triumph 500 and BMWs. Man, I went through all of that stuff lovingly. And I'm still here to talk about it, which is a nice thing. But the Porsche was a whole different beastie. And I put myself through school working in a Volkswagen shop, so I related to air-cooled, you know, flat engine in the back. So anyway, that all out of the way, I sold that and bought a Toyota, a V6 truck, right, to get through the snow piles up in this area. Now, here's the whole point of my speech here, is that in the truest sense of the word, that V6 has a very, very similar grunt, sound-wise, when I'm listening to it. It really, really reminds me of that Porsche, that flat 6. And I'm astonished when I hear it. I'm like, damn, when it's pulling, you know, it really has a very similar sound, you know, and it warms my heart to hear, because I love that little flat 6 very much. It was very dear to me. And oddly, and I never expected this to be part of the equation, but oddly, the truck delivers a very similar sound, you know, and so I get it, man. I get how piping in, you know, an electric sound can get the job done. I absolutely get it, and that's having worked on Steinways for 45 years. I don't have any prejudice whatsoever. You know, I love what they're able to do, blending these worlds, you know, the digital technology with, you know, with traditional engineering, you know. I mean, to me, this is fascinating. This is making the best use of what we have available, you know, on Earth. That's, to me, a great thing, and it tickles me. Now, I'm at the other end of all this. I don't have the bikes anymore. The Porsche is long gone. I lumber around in a truck, you know, but I remember all this stuff, how cool it was, you know. And I'll tell you what, for my money, and I loved the BMWs. They were great workhorse motorcycles. They were great machines. But for my money, for having fun and just going out and having a blast, my favorite machine was the Triumph Twin, the 500. It was a T100. It had two carbs. I think they called it what the hell was that? It was a Triumph Daytona. That was the name of it. It was a Daytona. I had a few of those, and they were great. You had to get the wiring straightened out. And, you know, they had the wiring right, but they had some funny switchgear and some, let's say, less than reliable interconnects. They used these barrel interconnects, so you had to sort of manage that. Once you got that, yeah, what do you have? A front light, a rear light, a brake light, you know, a few little things you had to make, sort of make do over, and then they were bulletproof. They were great. The engines, hey, they fought the war. They were great engines, you know. So anyway, let's see. We've got from electric Mustangs to British twins, and I think it's over to you, Wayne. Let's see how you're going to manage all that. WB2LYL in the group. This is W1ZOA.
W1WOR.
W1WOR, I think that was. I'll pass it over to you after this transmission. I'll try to keep it short. This is getting tough. There's so many good subjects touched upon here that we have enough fodder for conversation to last us through the winter, I think, particularly talking about motorcycles and cars. Those are my favorite subjects as well. Just one quick comment, Jerry, and then I'll get to the television antenna story. I had an Acura RL at one time, and they actually had an active noise cancellation system. And it escapes me right now, but they were able to lighten up the soundproofing of the cabin on the Acura because of the active sound dampening system, and it worked remarkably well. The only problem it had was that whenever you'd hit an expansion joint or a pothole in the road, it came through loud and clear. But as far as engine noise and repetitive noise, such as your tires rolling on the road, that was totally eliminated, and it had a very quiet cabin. It also had an excellent Bosch sound system as well. So enough on that. Regarding the TV antennas, it's if you want to take a look at the website, it's maxrangetv.com, maxrangetv.com, and I'm not selling anything here. I've got enough business to keep me busy, but that was a spin-off of my amateur radio antenna company, lightbeamantenna.com, which I kept getting calls. People would find antennas on the internet, and they'd give me a call and ask if I sold television antennas, and I'd say no, and I did that for over a year and a half or two, and decided I better listen to the customer and see what I could do. I really focus on stealthy, oh boy, I keep getting messages here. My focus was small, stealthy antennas, compact and stealthy, but yet efficient. And so I researched various antenna designs. Log periodic certainly was out. That's not going to be small with a 13-foot boom. And it has a drawback of being very directional, so you have to, the customer has to bear the expense of a rotor and the inconvenience of that. With all that said, I settled on the bicone antenna. So it's a biconical antenna. You can see a picture of it on my website. So I won't describe it here, but it's very effective, has a very wide 120-degree viewing angle. It also has the gain of a dipole, which I then, if needed, will boost with a low noise amplifier. And I've had many, many very satisfied customers. Just did an install this past week at a customer, 89 years old, wonderful lady. She just was tired of paying the cable company, which would go down more than it was up. So I installed one of my antennas, and I actually installed it in her closet. Put it on the top shelf of her closet, ran the coax out underneath the sliding closet doors to her TV, and she's delighted. So she saved herself the installation cost, and she's got, I think it was 49 channels, more than she can handle. So anyway, that's that. So let me turn it over to W1WOR. I think I got that right. We may have worked before, but not recently. So I'll let you have your turn here. We got quite a group. We have Jerry, W1ZOA. We have Paul, WA3VJB. We also have Ed, N2FRY. And, of course, this is WB2LYL. So over to you, W1WOR. Take it away.
All right, very good. Good morning, everyone. On this dry 17 days without rain, we got a working brush fire in one of the mountains in the parks in Berlin, Connecticut here, trying to put it out there. So we got Black Hawks and everything dropping water on there. So anyway, to Triumph. 1969 trophy I had. We had a BMW, what you call a Triumph dealer right here in Greenwich, Connecticut, and right up the street is a Harley. So I liked my little 500, but I gravitated to my Harley a lot more. I guess the sounds. And trying to get a Mustang to sound something like a big V8, I don't know, maybe sound like it, but it's not going to be the same feel. It's not going to be like my 1970 Super Sport Chevelle with a big 427 in it. I turned around and made the tone death there from the muffler, the thrush muffler header system, and when you banged into second gear, it snapped your neck back. I don't think they can reproduce that there, but anyway, so the electric stuff there. What else is going on? Oh, Volkswagens. I had 11 Volkswagens, not at once. From 1961 to 1973 was my oldest one, and I would take them, total restoration, new pans in them, beef them up, drag race them, and everything like that there. But so, yeah, the good old days of what did we have to worry about the most there? You can't get chips, components, parts now for cars there. So what did we worry most about? Spark plugs, spark plug wires, points and condensers. I don't know who else it goes to. And good morning, everyone. And Paul there, JVB. We got a Max Pro audio processor in the production there, so one will go in line soon. So let me throw it up in the air for the jump shot.
I think Ed was the closest to the door there. Go ahead, Ed.
I think he's in listening mode and may jump in.
Okay. All right, I'll take it briefly here. Yeah, good morning, Rob. I wondered what the fire update might be throughout the Northeast states. I think it's been 21 or 24 days here. I heard it on the weather this morning since any measurable rain at all. This cold front that went through overnight, we had 80-degree skies yesterday afternoon. And now it's around 64, 65. Didn't have any precipitation in it whatsoever. It had some last night as it came across the mountains in western Maryland and then headed up into New England. But the mountains broke it up, dried up the moisture, and all we got was the wind. Oh, yeah, Chevelle with a 427, probably glass packs. I think he said thrush mufflers. I think they are of the glass pack design. I remember those as kids. In our family, to this day, is a 1969 Mercury Marquis convertible. Dual exhausts, 427. Nope, sorry, Ford engine, 429. Positraction. Navy blue top, navy blue leather seats, metallic navy blue car. Wow. My brother's got it now. It's a 69. Brake horsepower is at 370 or 390. And, of course, it originally came with bias ply tires, so yes, you could really light them up, which is its own noise, right? Interesting, Wayne, on the Acura noise cancellation. I remember some of the first disclosures about that technology on its way. There was a company called Andrea Electronics who came up with the idea of phase cancellation and a second microphone to do so. I think Bose bought them and actually marketed the technology, but I had an opportunity to get in on the ground floor. This sounds like, what's that Mrs. Robinson movie? Plastics. But anyway, a friend of mine, KR3E, as a matter of fact, said, hey, you might want to invest in this. It's really interesting technology. It could work not only in the aeronautical realm, like jetliner passengers, but also, automobiles and communications like here on radio. As we have seen it come to pass. But they're actually doing it not only to cancel noise in the car, but also to lighten the load for sound deadening. That's an interesting payoff that they've got. The passengers will just hear that it's a quieter car. And it sounds like, I guess, the time constant could not get the road joint, couldn't catch that in time to help suppress that noise with cancellation technology. And it may have made it worse. And probably, the uninformed driver and passengers are going to say, my, this car rides rough. Where the ride hasn't changed at all, but it's that tactile input, the sensory perception of sound, that has convinced them the car is riding rough. I really wouldn't doubt that. Well, let me think. My notes are scrambled as to who to pass it around to. I think what I'll do is back away. That was a great story, by the way, of the elderly lady you put the antenna up on the top shelf of her TV antenna for. Yeah, that's a payoff. I'm going to give it back to Jerry. The BSA Lightning, the Triumph. What was that, Daytona? I had a shop class teacher in the 11th grade, had a Triumph Bonneville that we loved. I think it was a 650 for displacement. This would have been 1972. Brand new. And he used to park it away from everything else so nobody could either knock it over, run into it, or mess with it. And what a ride. Just a beautiful machine. Haven't seen a BSA in a long time. And oh man, the flat sound of the Toyota, flat six sound of a Toyota 6. I get that from Subarus going down the road, which is actually a boxer type engine, but it's a Subaru. You think you're hearing something. And you get these kids in these WRX sporty Subarus, and they've got tuned exhaust, and they get on it a little bit. It's like, wow, what do we got here? And it's a Subaru. It's like, You almost get embarrassed for them. Anyway, nice to play radio here this morning, gentlemen. I'm going to get back to my lowly generator with my Briggs & Stratton engine that needs some valves adjusted. I did not get the proper tool to do it, so I'll be using vice grips. No, I'll do something better than that, but that's what I'm up to here, so I'm going to go do that. Turn the SDR receiver on out in the garage and listen to you guys' comments all the way around. Rob, good to hear you. Ed, looking forward to hearing your Super Senior on. Rob, I'm looking forward to hearing that Max audio processor. I guess you finally allowed... Clark has been talking you out of getting one of those forever because you've got so much good audio gear already. So I guess he finally relented, and you're going to get yourself one.
That's all great stuff. I love hearing stories like that. Yeah, I would imagine he had to park it out far away from all the riffraff, at the college. And hello, Rob, down in the Greenwich area. Yeah, man, you sound like you have much more of a air-cooled flat 4 experience than I ever had. I've never had that many Volkswagens. I used to have squarebacks, and they were frowned upon by the Volkswagen community as frumpy Elmer Fudd type vehicles, that really didn't make the grade. But I had a 71, and that little puppy was fuel injected, and what a nice car, If you really were good to it and didn't let it get too hot and everything, and made sure you didn't stomp on it too hard, and it was a good little trooper. I used to throw piano actions in there. It was a nice little way to get around. And I'm sorry, I'm just from the old world. I love a rear-engine air-cooled car. Just the aesthetic, and it has everything to do. It's all about the rumble. It really is. And Volksies didn't make that for you, but these other machines, you talk the 427s and the American Iron, they were masterful at putting that rumble into your bones. So you can only really understand that if you've done it and enjoyed doing it, and put some 11s down and did all this kind of thing. There's really there's a very narrow. No, I'm not going to say narrow. It's an American reality. It's part of the our experience growing up, man, with these machines and wrenching on them and getting them out there, and just I think it's all about the sound. Now, I live on this interstate, right? And there are these guys that go by in these little cars. I don't know how tuned the mufflers are, but when they release, when they release the throttle, it sounds like two Uzis out there, like somebody's having a gun battle. It's unbelievable, and I'm not really tuned into that whole sound, I like torque on, power, large sound like that. That makes it happen for me. But these, when you release the gas and it sounds like like a gun battle, that's not making that's jive to me. That doesn't make it happen. But that seems to be one of the things they do these days. So I guess I'm like a typical old fart. I don't understand. And happily, by the way. And yeah, Wayne, I had to laugh. Yet another good use of a closet. The old lady with that TV antenna in her closet is hilarious, and at the same time heartwarming. Yet another good use for a closet, I'd say. And how they managed to cancel noise using that system is astonishing to me, and very, very interesting that they made good use of good technology, and at the same time, a tip of the hat to a company like Rolls-Royce, for instance, who managed to cancel noise using rubber and leather and springs. And I never found this out for myself. I'm not saying, I was never even in a Rolls-Royce, but apparently you could sit in the back of one of them and hear nothing. You're in a silent world. So they managed to get that together with rubber and leather. It's fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. But anyway, and I love that. That's so amazing. If you have the will to do it, you're going to figure out a way. So yeah, I get gravitating to the Harley. I get having a Harley and a '69 Trophy in the garage. Rob, and gravitating to the Harley. I get it, believe me. The last Harley, I never owned one, but the last one I rode was a police special that a friend of mine had, and he said, yeah, go ahead, take a ride on the thing. And I jumped on that, and he was a retired cop, a New York State Trooper, and they give them their bikes. That's a perk of the job. So he got his bike, and there it was. And we were down at a local spot there, and the bikes were lined up, and he said, sure, go ahead and see what you think. And I didn't want to bring it back. Let's leave it at that. So anyway, I think, Paul, you're signing. I'm going to sign out, fellas. Nice talking to everybody. It's great to come here on the Hammer and hear all these great stories. I love that. This is fantastic. So over to you, Rob, and I'm going to say 7-3 to you fellas all the way around, and I'm going to listen out as well. I got stuff to do in the backyard involving one of those Briggs & Stratton motors too. So W1WOR, great call. And everyone else, this is W1ZOA.
All right, see if I got it. All right, Jared. Yeah, the last time we worked is in March there, so up in New Fairfield. You see Monroe suspended all open burns. That's including your fire pits there. All open burns there because of that fire that's still going on up in Berlin there. I'm watching it and watching the choppers there. The Black Hawks flying over Silver Lake there and dropping water on there. We lost one firefighter there on a vehicle rollover there on the side of the hill from Weathersfield. One of my brothers there. So rest in peace and thank you for your service and all be safe. Wildfires is a whole different realm than going into an interior there. I worked it a couple of times out there in California, and I always, when I got back here, he says, "How'd you like it?" I said, "I'd rather go back in the house." I said, out there all day long, bent over, no SCBAs there, a towel over your face there, and the wind and the smoke and stuff like that. I says, I give those guys a lot of credit for that there, for doing that kind of work. I'm trying to think what else Jerry was going to recap on there. Yeah, so my weather station says the last time we had any rain is 17 days here. I think Philadelphia is going for a record, the longest without any rain. The rain that we had somewhat in September when we closed the pool cover there, we had some good amount of rainwater on there. I was going to drain it off, and the other half said, done it. It's all evaporated off. Throw the shovel in the ground there, and it bounces back up there. So be careful with your stuff there. Matches, cigarette, barbecue grills, or whatever there. We're what they call red flag mode there. After 11 days of no rain, low humidity and winds, and we're right back into that there in the fire industry that we would call it there. And I'm trying to think of anything else. I think that's about it. I'm going to get going. I came in here late. I heard you guys in there. Yeah, I liked my Triumph, but I did like my Harley, and the girls liked it. They just seemed like the way it felt with their legs wrapped around the Harley. I don't know why. We won't go into that there, but yeah, my cousin had a 650 Bonneville. Then he got the 750. I had a 72 Kawasaki 750. I rode it up and down the highway twice there. And I'm a light person. It was almost going off the ground. I sold it the next day there. I went back on the heavy sports there. So, all right. Anyway, yeah, Paul, I know. Clark kept talking me out of it, but it's going to go in the rack there regardless. So 7-3s, everyone. Have a good one. Be safe there. We'll catch up with you later. W1WOR. Over to you, Paul, if you're still with us.
I am, but I'm not. I had a laugh when I saw you setting that up as to why the women like the Harley. And there it is. Okay, got it. Wayne, tie the ribbons on. It's been my pleasure. Like I said, WB2LYL in the group WA3VJB.
Yeah, WA3VJB with the group signing. This is WB2LYL. I'm not sure who's left after me, but hopefully we can get back together and continue the conversation, because motorcycles, cars, antennas, radios, audio systems, I love it. And it's been a fun morning here this morning. I need to run as well. Just one comment regarding Subaru. I'm now the proud owner of a Subaru Legacy Touring XT, which has got a nice turbo on it, 8-speed transmission with a CV in front of it, and it's the best riding car I've had, and it goes. Pretty interesting. That's another story. On the Porsche compared to, I think you said a Toyota V6, I think that was or Jerry, I'm not sure. If they sounded the same, I wonder if the bore and stroke were the same on both the Porsche and the Toyota. So maybe for another time. I'm going to say 73 myself. I've got to get responding to these messages. I've got people contacting me, and I think I may have another order coming in. So I'm not sure who takes it. So is it? Let's try see if Ed's still around. I think Jerry signed. Paul, you're signed. Rob sign, so maybe it's Ed. N2FRY, are you there? This is WB2LYL. Over to you. Nothing heard.
Too. I
This
want
is
to
WB2LYL.
just
Say send me
thank you,
if there's anyone
Rob,
waiting
bringing
to
up
talk.
the fire business. I'm going to go
Please
look
take
into
over.
that. It's terrible.
This is
And really
WB2LYL
important,
listening.
to be careful. You know, I smoke a pipe. I will not go out there with any pipe, man. It's serious. I'm surrounded by the dry, dead stuff out here. I've already had a fire on this property. No good. No good. And one of my best friends is retired lieutenant from New York City. Serious business. We don't want to mess around. I'm sorry about the lost firemen as well. I had to say that. So 7-3 all the way around. And yeah, we're gonna pick it up again with the born stroke thing. Close, but not the same. And I look forward to it next time. So 7-3 fellas, have a great and a safe day. And yeah, be careful with the fire. This is W1ZOA.